The top takeaways from the first and only U.S. Senate debate between Martha Mcsally and Mark Kelly.
Plus, President Trump quarantined. How Vice President Pence rallies without him this week could impact GOP votes right here in Arizona.
And COVID-19 impacting sports. How much has the game day experience changed because of the global pandemic? We break it down later in the half hour.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Alex Gall.
And I'm Sean Rice. Thank you for joining us.
While Election Day is still a month away, you can start voting today in Arizona. In-person voting can be done at polling locations across the state. Mail-in ballots are expected to be sent out today as well. You can request yours through the 23rd of October, and the deadline to mail in your ballot is October 27th.
The only televised Arizona Senate debate took place last night, featuring Republican Senator Martha Mcsally and Democratic candidate Mark Kelly. As Stephanie Rosales reports, both were asked questions regarding the COVID-19 pandemic, healthcare, and border security.
4 moderators lobbied questions at the 2 candidates. Everyone socially distanced and between plexiglass due to COVID. And questions about the pandemic started off the debate.
Arizona PBS hosted the debate with moderators from the Arizona Republic, KJZZ, and Arizona Public Media. The first question, how the current administration handled the coronavirus pandemic.
Appreciate that at the end of January, the president made a decisive action in order to stop travel from China, something that was highly criticized.
But we've got a serious crisis on our hands. We've got a public health crisis, which spurred an economic crisis. And both of these things have been made worse by a crisis of leadership.
Senator Martha Mcsally, however, avoided the question as to whether she was proud of her support for President Trump.
Is that a yes or a no for President
Trump? Putting legislation on President Trump's desk.
So you're proud of your support for President Trump?
You look at the legislation we put on his desk, it's to cut Arizona taxes.
With issues covered related to health care, Kelly said he is in support of public health care. He also called Mcsally out for not being in support of pre-existing conditions and against the Affordable Care Act.
Arizonans already know they can't trust Senator Mcsally when it comes to health care. She's voted on 4 separate occasions to undermine or eliminate those protections.
I'm fighting for more options for people. Buy insurance across state lines, allow small businesses to band together so they have more choice. Let's provide that taxpayer resources to backstop those with the highest expenses, and let's find more options that protect people with pre-existing conditions.
Both candidates agreed to stronger border security, but Kelly felt the money could be used elsewhere.
To build a wall for 2,000 miles of border, $20 million a mile, those resources could be used for the technology. It could be used for more Border Patrol agents on the border.
Kelly also added that he supports DACA and believes there should be a legal path to citizenship. When asked to touch on this topic, Mcsally agreed, but said another issue deserves more attention.
But we cannot just address that issue. We've got to address the root issues as well of why we're in this situation in the first place. That's why it's so important for us to continue to secure our border.
In closing, Kelly asked Arizonans for their vote to work together to solve the major issues surrounding the country.
We need independent leadership focused on solving the problems we face, like beating this virus and rebuilding our economy and lowering the cost of health care and prescription drugs.
In her final remarks, Mcsally explained that this election will decide the Senate majority and asked for 3 more debates before Election Day. Stephanie Rosales, Cronkite News.
Senator Martha Mcsally and Mark Kelly will both participate in a pre-recorded candidate forum on Univision the week before the election. Stephanie Rosales, Cronkite News.
A new poll released today shows the race between Mcsally and Kelly is tightening. According to Data Orbital, 43.7% of Arizona voters say they would vote for Martha Mcsally, while 49.2% prefer Mark Kelly. As for the presidential race, 47.7% of voters prefer Joe Biden, while 43.2% favor President Donald Trump.
The debate stage is not the only place Mcsally and Kelly have squared off. In one of the most expensive Senate races in the nation, the 2 are advertising heavily. But Mcsally has only recently started advertising on Spanish-language TV stations, as Cronkite News reporter MYTHILI reports from our Washington bureau.
Arizona Senator Martha Mcsally ran her first Spanish-language TV ads at the end of September, 2 months and hundreds of $1,000s behind her Democratic challenger, Mark Kelly.
It's a little late, frankly, because the Hispanic vote is the largest minority group population as a voter segment. However, you have to put in more time.
Despite the late TV start, the Mcsally campaign says it has been doing vigorous outreach to Hispanics, running ads on digital platforms and calling voters in Spanish, attending events with Hispanic religious groups and business leaders, and winning the endorsement of a group of Hispanic faith leaders. Political scientist Lisa Magana says that while TV ads are one way to reach Hispanic voters, they're not the only way.
What we've seen has been really successful are grassroots organizing and targeting Latino voters, getting them registered. So we know that if you register and you keep on focusing on this group, which we haven't been, right, that has been really effective. And that's what we've seen in Arizona.
In the past 2 weeks, Mcsally spent about $100,000 on her Spanish TV ads, according to reports to the Federal Communications Commission. But Kelly has spent almost $500,000 since July for ads on Univision and Telemundo stations across the state. Part of the reason could be that Kelly has raised millions more than Mcsally and has millions more to spend.
Definitely has a lot less resources than Mark Kelly, which is interesting because here in traditionally Republican Arizona, to see a Democrat not only out raising and spending the incumbent Republican, but significantly outraising and outspending her.
Mcsally's Spanish ad makes the same pitch to voters as her English ads, about supporting small businesses during the pandemic and criticizing Kelly as dangerous for Arizona. Kelly's Spanish-language ads talk about a path to citizenship for dreamers, support for small businesses, encouraging people to vote, and the need for independent leadership in Washington. Magana says Kelly's messaging might be more effective with Latino voters.
I've heard the ones for Mark Kelly. And again, very moderate. I think, again, smartly playing to constituents in Arizona.
Mcsally did not appear to run Spanish ads in her 2018 campaign, according to FCC filings, but Latino voters are getting more attention from all quarters these days, Magana says.
We know that voter registration for these Latinos in Arizona have been going up 100%, just incredible turnout. We know that part of it is because of more outreach that we hadn't seen before in the Latino community.
But Noble wonders if Mcsally's ads will be too little, too late.
I mean, when you're doing this, 2 weeks before ballots get dropped in the mail, I think it kind of seems, if from their point of view, it's more, where were you 6 months ago or 2 years ago, communicating with them. So I think with this push late on, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Kelly does not appear to be easing up. Between now and the election, FCC filings show his campaign has ordered as much as $100,000 of Spanish TV ads on Univision. In Washington, MYTHILI GUBBI, Cronkite News.
In their last reports with the Federal Election Commission in June, Mcsally and Kelly reported raising a whopping $76 million, when Kelly reported raising $46 million to Mcsally's $30 million. And those numbers will go up this week when new campaign numbers are expected to be out.
Tonight, Vice President Pence and Senator Kamala Harris will face off in Salt Lake City in what will be the first and only vice presidential debate. Their showdown comes with the highest stakes for a vice presidential debate in recent memory, in part because President Donald Trump's coronavirus diagnosis has made it unclear if any more presidential debates will take place. Tonight's debate will also mark a historic moment as Harris becomes the first Black and South Asian woman to participate in a general election presidential campaign debate. The debate will be divided into 9 topic segments with 10 minutes each. The Washington Bureau Chief of USA Today, Susan Page, will moderate.
After their debate in Salt Lake City, Pence and Harris head to Arizona to campaign tomorrow. Harris will be joined by Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden, but Pence will be flying solo, as President Trump is still quarantined at the White House. So what's a Trump rally without Trump? Carolina HASSETT in our Washington Bureau talked to the experts.
President Donald Trump tweeted Monday that he's eager to get out of here and get back on the campaign trail. But for now, Trump's family members and Vice President Mike Pence will serve as the face of the campaign.
President Trump not being out on the campaign trail is a big deal. Frankly, when you have the vice president campaigning for you, sure, he would be campaigning, but not in place of the president necessarily at big rallies.
Experts say that Pence will not raise the roof at a Trump rally like Trump does.
I think his default is to defend the president's record no matter what and kind of be a loyal soldier.
And while Trump is stuck in the White House recuperating from COVID-19, Democratic challenger Joe Biden will be making his first 2020 campaign trip to Arizona tomorrow with his running mate, California Senator Kamala Harris.
There's a reason why both candidates are there, and it would mean more for former Vice President Biden to pick up that state, and it would be a big blow for the Trump-Pence campaign to lose that on Election Day.
But they also say rallies, with or without Trump, are not likely to sway any voters' minds this late in the campaign.
Honestly, I'm not sure how much those really change anybody's mind at this point. The in-person visits and the rallies and things are really just for his base. His base is already motivated to vote for him.
People that support President Trump, that are staunch Trump supporters, are going to stick behind him. We saw that outside of Walter Reed this past weekend.
Lee thinks Biden may have an edge on the campaign trail, given his history of COVID-19 precautions in Trump's recent diagnosis.
I think Vice President Biden has shown a dedication to following science and handling this in a serious professional way that will resonate not just in Arizona, but across the country.
Neither campaign is about to abandon Arizona, a state in play that would be a coup for Biden if Democrats win and a blow to the GOP if they lost the traditionally red state.
I don't think you can say that President Trump definitely has Arizona in his pocket. Otherwise, they wouldn't be going there at all.
With less than 4 weeks to Election Day, it's not clear whether Trump will get back to Arizona or campaigning at all. But he promised in a tweet Monday that he will be back on the campaign trail soon. At the White House, CAROLEINA, HASSETT, Cronkite News.
Vice President Pence is slated to campaign in Nevada tomorrow morning before heading to an event in Peoria in the afternoon, while Biden and Harris will be in Phoenix and Tempe tomorrow afternoon, meeting with Native American leaders before heading out on a small bus tour to talk to small business owners.
The 7-day average of new coronavirus cases is on the rise in 22 states, forcing officials in some places to make tough decisions when it comes to closures. And last night, President Trump tweeted he's ending stimulus talks until after the election. In the tweet, Trump says he has ordered his representatives to stop negotiations until after the election, but promises a major stimulus bill will be passed if he wins re-election. The post came after a conference call with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, House GOP Leader Kevin McCarthy, and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin.
For the sake of our nation, let's hope they finally lay down their partisan demands and let our country get back on offense against this disease.
Trump went on to tout the economy, saying the stock market, jobs, and unemployment are all recovering. Millions of Americans are still struggling after losing their jobs and not having money for basic expenses like rent and food. Later that same day, Trump changed course on Twitter, posting that he would support additional help for airlines, small businesses, and individual stimulus checks if Congress were to vote on these relief measures.
Coming up next on Cronkite News, how does the COVID-19 hotline work? We'll take a look at how it's being used during the pandemic.
Editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Ready to watch the best of PBS anytime, anywhere, on nearly any device? It's easy with the free PBS Video app. Simply download the PBS Video app on your mobile or streaming device. Now you can watch the latest PBS episodes or catch up on the shows you missed. And when you support your local station, you can get PBS Passport, giving you access to more episodes, more specials, more of what you love.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland, in Washington, in Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
Bars, gyms, and other retail businesses have been reopened for over a month now. Nightclubs and bars have been operating at 50% capacity, while gyms have limited their capacity to 25%. And now the public has a way to report those businesses that are failing to comply. The Arizona Department of Health Services has installed a COVID-19 hotline where Arizonans can call in a complaint. The hotline was installed in early September, and AZDHS reportedly received over 12,000 calls in the first week of operation. Will Humble, the executive director of the Arizona Public Health Association, pushed for the installation of the hotline throughout the state.
Like it was a super important thing to put that hotline together so that people would know where to file a complaint. Now, I know that they did put together a hotline, but what I would have rather seen is that there be a requirement that that hotline be pasted in large font at least several places within each restaurant, bar, and nightclub. That hasn't happened, and I think that's a mistake. And I'm hopeful that they're taking these complaints seriously and following up and putting some real teeth into it. Because if the compliance is loose, that means the enforcement isn't going to work, and we could end up sliding back to something like we were, in July. I don't think we'll ever get to where we were in July because of several things, but I would really hate to see kids lose the opportunity to go to class because the health department did a bad job with compliance.
After a complaint is received, officials say the local or state health department will investigate it. If you would like to file a complaint, call the hotline at 844-410-2157, or you can submit a complaint through the AZDHS website. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
And for top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.